Welcome back to Open Exchange, West Africa. This time I'm Wale Famrewa. And before we move on to the markets, let's of course continue our discussion around the oil price and what it could mean for oil producers in Africa. Military action against Syria in response to alleged chemical attacks in the country that are thought to be responsible for deaths of hundreds in the Middle East oil producer could push the price of Brent oil to $125 per barrel, and some analysts suggest that $150 per barrel is possible if the volatility spills into Iraq. We now discuss how this could impact oil-producing countries in Africa with Jeff King, future editors at Platts Oil. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us. I guess a good place to start is just to get your thoughts on how things are developing over the last couple of days. We get a sense that the probability is a lot more, given the rhetoric from the U.S. in particular. How do you see things playing out?
Well, I think definitely we've seen that the US is taking a very strong stand against what happened last week in Syria with regard to the chemical attacks. John Kerry, the US Secretary of State, came out with some strongly worded statements earlier in the week, and then yesterday there was a proposal taken to the UN Security Council on taking action against Syria. Whilst the Russians vetoed that, I think that was predictable and predicted. It's now what the US and its Western allies, what the next step they will take. And I think there's a general consensus out there that there is definitely going to be some sort of action. It remains to be seen what that action is and when it will be.
All right, so of course we are seeing the Brent price at about a 6-month high now. Some people saying 125 is possible. Your thoughts about the premium that we're seeing in terms of the expectation of an attack whenever it will come, and who knows if it would come in the next couple of days or weeks. What are your thoughts on the premium that we're seeing on the oil price right now?
Well, I think what we've seen over the last 2 days, or 2 or 3 days, since again John Kerry gave that strongly worded statement, is yes, the market has reacted in sending the price of Brent up and NYMEX crude as well. As you said, Brent hit a 6-month high yesterday. It looks like we're seeing a little bit of profit taking today, and we pulled back about $1.30, $1.50. However, having said that, there is a general feeling out there and amongst analysts, and you've mentioned one, that that Brent could hit 120, and if it spills over into Iraq, yeah, possibly 150. I think that the consensus also is that any spike will most likely be short-lived, as has been seen around similar times, such as when the strike or the no-fly zone on Libya and the strike on Iraq.
All right, so if you look across the African continent right now, Jeff, which countries would you say are the big winners from this development? Of course, we have seen quite a few emerging oil producers over the last couple of years. Nigeria, the big producer in West Africa. Of course, we know the impact of oil theft and on production, so suboptimal production coming out of West Africa. Your thoughts about the big winners on the continent?
Well, I mean, at the moment, the big winners are anyone that's producing oil, because obviously the oil price has gone up, and that's a benefit to the oil producers. How much of an impact it will have, I mean, again, it remains to be seen how long the oil prices stay this high. I think the key here is whether or not the situation spreads into Iraq, because if you have if you're threatening production there, then that opens the door. That opens the door for more African production to come on the market. As Syria stands, it's not a major producer. It's only producing around 50,000 barrels per day, so there's no lost barrels there. The key is going to be Iraq and what happens there.
All right, if we look more specifically at the emerging producers, I really want to get more your thoughts about the dynamics you're seeing in terms of where African oil is going and the changes that we could see if we saw a pullback in production from the Middle East as a result of this crisis.
Well, I mean, I think we're already seeing an opportunity out there for the African producers anyway, given that that Libyan production has been severely curtailed by strikes there. I also think African producers have been looking at other markets in recent times anyway, given the the US shale production, which has sent the production there booming, and oil that traditionally went into the US markets is being sent to into Asia and into Europe. And I think, again, if there's another supply shortage, the results of this Syrian situation, then it'll be making up the shortfalls there. And I think Iraqi oil is, you know, a strong market, has a strong market in Asia. So perhaps that's where the Africans would be looking.
All right, of course, you just mentioned Libya, Nigeria, clearly one of those that are not making the most of the opportunity that this crisis is affording the continent in terms of production. Thank you so much, Jeff. Let's leave it there. Jeff King from Platts giving us his thoughts on the big winners as a result of the crisis we're seeing in the Middle East. And of course, we'll be following that story.